Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for The Chi. So they ain't waste no time. We see immediately who shot Duda, and it was Brandon's mama. Now, if you have forgotten because you have not seen Brandon in a while, Brandon was an old boy who, was giving little haircuts and trying to get his life together, and he ended up having a food truck, and his mama was into terrible men and not where she needed to be sobriety wise and all that good stuff. But she's the one who shot him, and she rolled up on him and was like, yeah, you ruined my life, so I'm gonna take yours, and walked off. And this is my problem. I don't understand, and I'm fully aware this is a TV show, but I don't understand. If you plan on killing somebody, why aren't you making sure they're dead? I'm not understanding why she shot him one time. I understand it was close enough. But at the same time, I would have shot you. And then I would have shot you again. She should have shot him through the temple, shot him in the heart, all of that. I'm sorry. I need to make sure. If you meant to live because you 50 Cent times two, 50 Cent to the second degree, or 50 Cent 2.0 or whatever, then okay, we gonna see today. We gonna see if these bullets gonna do that walking and the talking for you. But she should have shot him up. I'm sorry, I would have emptied the clip on him. I ain't got time. I would have emptied all of them. I'm sorry. I'm gonna make sure you dead before I walk off. But she walked off. So then, eventually Rosalind, who is his wife, y'all know I've been saying Candy the whole time. She rolled up and she's distraught, and you could tell she's very scared. This man finna die. He looking dead. Before she even got to him, he was looking mighty dead. So he rushed him to the hospital. They're trying to revive him, and they're trying to save his life. And they pretty much succeed in doing so. And I was just like, ain't no way y'all gonna kill Doodall. First of all, this is a black TV show where every single person on this show is black or has at least one parent that is black, African, something. Like, what we not gonna do? What we not gonna do is this. Even though he is who he is. So, yeah. His wife had to release a statement and was like, if you ain't hear nothing from me, then whatever they saying out there is a lie. Like, she's acting on behalf of the mayor's office and all of that good stuff. But yeah, everybody been trying to pray him up out the coma and the whatever else that he might have been going through, whatever. So anyway, meanwhile at the schoolhouse, Kevin then got into it with Jacob. He threw a pencil or something at Jacob trying to get his attention because now him and Jim are sitting next to each other in the same classroom. And he ignored him. Jimma politely got up and got the pencil and put it in his hand and told him to, cut it out. Well, Kevin wanted to square up, and they started fighting. Kevin got very wild with his hand throwing abilities or lack thereof and ended up punching the teacher in the face. So now everybody in the classroom standing up looking at him like, all around the classroom, everybody. Even Jacob looking like this with his holding his face. Like, wait a minute, like Gemma looking at him like, how dare you? He did all this for this heifer. And as soon as that scene happened, I was like, oh, this fool is about to lose everything. He did all this, got into the school, and now, unless a miracle happened, he ain't gonna be able to do nothing but go off though over a raggedy heifer when you could have got over her if you had just given yourself some time to heal from the situation. I understand that it is something that's very, very hurtful that happened. I understand puppy love. I understand all of that. But you ain't had to end your academic career over this raggedy heifer. And you trying to make it seem like you really want to be about that scholar type of life? I can't tell. Look what you're doing. Anyway, Papa then met up with Maisha, and he's discussing the podcast and how, the people that he keeps reaching out to, like Lil Rel and, possibly Chance the Rapper, maybe he can come and talk. Because, these are people who, if I'm not mistaken, all of them are from like that area or whatever. And Maisha was like, yeah, let's try not stalking, but okay. She gets an email, and He was like, what happened? What's going on? Well, apparently people heard her do what she did on Papa's podcast, and a magazine or somebody reached out to her and they wanted to do a photo shoot with her. So, of course, immediately Papa was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. And then immediately was like, let me figure out a way where I can plug my show. And so it's like, dang, let her have her moment, sir. Calm down. I understand that you want the podcast to get to popping off, but you got to let things happen organically. Sometimes you latching on to somebody else's coattail works, but for me, I would rather get it on my own. Just like with this channel, I don't tell none of my family members that I got this going on. I don't tell none of my friends, hey, come subscribe to my channel, and I don't knock anybody that does. If it's meant for me to blow up, if you will, I feel like it'll happen organically and without the word of mouth from my family and people like doing it for pity. To me, I just feel like for me, this is for me. Speaking on my behalf, I feel like it would be pity. And they probably wouldn't even come on my videos and listen to what I'm saying or care about any of the things that I'm talking about, whether it's a thoughts video, Black-owned businesses, or these recap reviews that I throw up here. So anyway, at the house, Kevin is getting chewed out by Dre because his mama is pretty much done and don't care nothing about the situation no more. She was like, hey, do what you want to do, throw your life away, whatever. So they're trying to understand what is the problem and why he doing all this. And he is just like, I'm just tired. I'm going through a lot, whatever. Dre ain't trying to hear it. Dre was like, why are you doing this? You already had too much to prove. You already got too much going on in life. You already been acting out. And so he was like, so what are y'all going to do to punish me? And so Dre was like, I've already, done this before. We've already done this song and dance. And you've done what you wanted to do in the past. And we're still sitting here. So he was like, okay, so if I wanted to go meet up with Papa right now, I can. And so Dre was like, yeah, pretty much. But don't sit up there and take my kindness for weakness. So he gonna go and meet up with Papa. Because apparently Papa invited him to come by. Because of course he knows about all the drama going on. Well, what's her name? Lala's character, I can't even think of what they, Dominique or whatever, and Tiffany, I think is Emmett's wife's name. They asked to use his office because they're about to have a meeting with somebody who wants to have part ownership or whatever of their edible business. And so Dominique is like, okay, let's be smart about this, because she's been very, very defensive. Every time the woman says something, she ain't here for it. And she want to know, what are you bringing to the table? Because we're trying to get this money. And so they went and talked privately, which didn't go over well because Tiffany is like, okay, they're throwing money at us. Let's take whatever they're giving us. But Dominique is thinking of it from a smart perspective. Y'all, excuse me. And she's like, we two Black women out here doing this. And apparently our business is amazing. And we need to get what we're worth. That's all I'm trying to say. So they get into it and they ain't resolved nothing in that moment. I'm just like, Lord. So, y'all, Keisha is back at work. And old boy done rolled up on her, asked her how she doing and all this other stuff. And, he actually asked her, what did she have? And she said, a boy. And so then he asked her out on a date. And she was like, I don't know. I had to think about that. So she ended up giving him her phone so that he could put his number in there. Well, Papa and Maisha are setting up a Ponderosa, as all these people like to call these meetings nowadays, but whatever. And nobody knows what's about to pop off. So Kevin has arrived and they set up all this stuff, and it's just a lot going on right now. But he arrives, and then Jacob and Gemma arrive. And we'll get back into that in a minute. So, y'all, I got to get my life together because they really trying to make me cry. I'm still doing well. They still haven't gotten me. I have still been a thug about it. I have been a gangster. So they have not allowed me to, break down into tears, and I'm glad about it. But I really do feel before the end of this season, I will be boohoo in the floor, and I really hope that's not going to happen, but I really see it happening. and I'm not here for that. So anyway, Jada is at the house and she looking real bad, y'all. Y'all know she been taking the chemotherapy. She going through. So her and Tiffany are talking, and their son is there, and she's asking her, like, how you feeling? He asking her how she feeling, and of course she asked how things going with her and Suede, or whatever his name is, and she let her know that he said that he loved her the other day and wanted to know if she returned those words to him. Well, eventually she started coughing because she really is getting sick, and he bring her some water, and she was just like, oh no, I'm fine. Y'all ain't got to worry about me. And she ended up trying to get him to take them home, but he is making it plain that he ain't going nowhere. So she was like, can you take my grandbaby home? So Tiffany ended up leaving and taking them home. And so then she was like, well, if you're going to be here, can you wash the dishes for me? I think that's what she asked him. Y'all, so meanwhile at the podcast, Papa was finally able to get all of them to sit down, and I thought it was going I don't know why, but I thought that they were going to actually act like they had just a little bit of sense, but no. It was just a lot going on. And I understand it. I had a little bit of faith, but no. Gemma told that boy that she still loved him. And so he over here think he got it in the bag. And I'm like, just because she said that don't mean nothing. Like, this just happened, like, not that long ago. Y'all were together for a while, so feelings don't just get cut off. So, yeah. Jacob sat down because she basically pulled him over there and was like, come on, let's do this. He ain't really had much to say. So, Kevin got tired of his spirit, and a lot of things were being said, and he was just trying to understand why all this stuff happened, what happened to Bro Code. And then he actually, said that she seemed like she'll pass around. I was like, woo, child, a lot was said. I ain't gonna lie, that heifer wore that houndstooth. I ain't gonna lie, her fro was looking nice, and she had that houndstooth on. I was like, all right, heifer, I still don't like you, but all right, though. Well, the podcast went awry because there were people in that room who wanted to hear what was going down, because I think he said it was like 400 and some people in the room. It was in, what is that platform? Some platform that they use nowadays. I forgot what it's called, y'all, because I don't use it, so I don't know nothing about it. But a lot of people, Clubhouse, a lot of people were on there, and it was a lot. He was just like, okay, it's 400 some of y'all in here. Make sure you mute your mics, blah, 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 all this other stuff. Y'all, the most popped off. Wasn't nobody trying to hear nothing. Nobody had to say no more. He got up and left, and Gemma ended up getting up and leaving. And, of course, Jacob gonna leave too. So, Trig is, I guess the morning after, he is at the house and he's talking to Imani, and she ain't really trying to hear what he's talking about right now, because he's being the typical man, if you will, and not understanding that she's still mad. So he had to ask her, are you mad with me? And she just wants him to be on the same page as her. Don't sit up there and act like you don't understand what's going on. I want what's best for these women, and I just want us to be a unit. I want us to move as a unit. So he basically told her, from now on, we will move as a unit, no matter what's going on. Cool. Let's do that. Well, Duda in the hospital, and he's coming to, and he is seeing how his wife is moving, because she already been wanting to run stuff anyway. And so he trying to get up and all this other stuff. And so she read him, was like, oh, what you looking for, Tracy? And somebody brought some more stuff that came from the mayor's office to her for her to go off of and go over or whatever. And so she was like, I'm sorry that you got shot and all, but I got it from here. I was like, ooh, child. Wait a minute. But yeah, it's just a lot. Keisha is at home and she's looking at herself, and you see the after body. You see your body after you've had a baby, and she sees the little pudge that she had, and y'all know she actually had a baby in real life. And she's looking at her old pictures of when she actually ran track, and she actually thought about calling old boy, and she called him. And so she was like, okay, I'm ready, where you gonna take me out to eat? And so he was like, well, actually, I was gonna cook. And so, After getting over the, somewhat shock of him even saying that, he was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna make this stuff from scratch and all this other stuff." And so she was like, "Well, I would prefer not to, go to strangers' houses or whatever." And so, y'all, I love this character. Unless he putting on a good act, I really love this character and how he can read the room. He reading the room. He know her situation, so he's moving accordingly, and I like that. He was like, whatever you want to do, anything that whatever makes you comfortable, that's fine." So they're gonna meet up at Smokey's. So I'm like, I'm here for that. Yes, Lord. So they having the photo shoot of Maisha. Maisha is killing it, and Sydney Star, I don't know if she was playing herself or not on here, but she ended up interviewing her and asking her if she wants to have a music career and all this other stuff and what are her goals and what's her next move. And Maisha was like, I'm trying to finish school. Like, that's what I want to do, is finish school with honors and possibly have a music career. Papa, in the middle of her interview, when they asked where her music and all this stuff can be found, he gonna say Papa's podcast or whatever the name of his podcast is and all this other stuff. He did the most. Had a card and everything ready. And she looked at him like, boy, if you don't. I was like, oh my gosh. So she had to kind of like play the situation off. And so Sydney Star was like, okay, this your boo? And so he was just like, yeah. I was like, boy, you doing too much in your life. So anyway, Kevin in his feelings because he has to go down to the area that Tracy works at to help feed people. And, I'm like, shoot, that's a part of your punishment. Do what you do. I don't really care about these people like that because it wasn't that significant to me. But Dre was talking to some people at the school and some things was popping off, and they have a child together, and I don't know. It was just a lot. I turned away. I was just like, I don't want to hear all this arguing. Lord, it's just too much. So anyway, Trig is talking to his brother because him and Gemma been having sex at the house. And so they basically separated them. He talking to his brother and she's talking to Gemma. And basically like, okay, yeah, you like her, but you're going to have to bring more to the table than sex. Imani's talking to Gemma and was like, I'm not going to tell nobody. Because she was like, can we just keep this between us? So she was like, that's fine. I just want y'all to do what y'all do, but be safe about it. It is what it is. So Maisha and Papa are talking and, trying to get some things going or whatever. And I noticed that I don't like how Papa has been being lately. And Maisha doesn't either, because when the podcast situation was going down, he was sitting up there when she made a comment about how some people get together, but they don't end up together at the end. And so after everybody left out, he brought it up. He was like, what did you mean by that, Maisha? And so she was like, you got to stop reading so much into stuff. You got to stop taking everything so personal. So, yeah. So they was just having a little moment and how she want to do things for her music and the different things that she speaks on and all that. Well, Jada and Dre are outside talking on the stoop, and Jada is just tired because she always lives for everybody else. And she got her own stuff going on, and she can't even live in her moment and try to grieve and deal and like just go through this process because she always got to worry about everybody else. So Dre is there to comfort her. Y'all, oh man. Yeah, I already told y'all about them talking. I'm just waiting for that part to come on. Okay, so Keisha is at a restaurant and he finds out that she gets free food for that place all the time. And, they start talking and having a great conversation and everything seems to be going well. And y'all, I already knew it was happening, but we're going to get there in a minute, y'all. But they're having a really great conversation and you can tell that she's really into the baby, even though she said that the baby was going to be Octavia's. So yeah, they're going to go to some cupcake spot and he said it's going to be good. So she's trusting that it's really going to be good. Duda in the hospital doing the most. And Tracy was talking about how the money ain't coming through like it's supposed to come through and all this other stuff. Was I only sex? And that's why you was boosted everything up trying to make it seem like all of these things you were just so interested in. And she was just like, yeah, that's what I thought. And then walked out. And so he tried to make it seem like that ain't what it is. But she walked out on him. And I'm like, whatever. What's that man's name? Is it Iman Sherman? Shupern? I don't never know how to say his name. Tiana Taylor's man. Tiana Taylor's husband, if I'm not mistaken. He is playing somebody who is in the drug / let me just say weed business. I don't want to say drug. And he was looking for the ladies so that he can try to get in on their edible business. And they might actually be able to have a spot where they can work out of, like an office or whatever, or a nice, like, I guess a full-on office space. Ain't no telling. And so Dominique was like, shoot, we might have a deal depending on what you're talking about. Like, what that money do? Run me that. So anyway, y'all, I rolled my eyes as I saw this next part. So this heifer Nina in her feelings because she calling all day as usual, calling Dre. And then she went to a bar and she drinking. They got the brat over in the corner looking at her. And so the brat walked up on her and was like, what you drinking? And then she told her she was drinking Hennessy. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she taking a shot. She was like, oh, I like a woman that can hold her liquor. And so she was like, are you alone? And she was like, don't I look alone? Man, they ended up going somewhere and having sex. She done did the most. I'm like, heifer, you dumb. You dumb. I was just like, ma'am, y'all don't understand. I was like, ma'am, you done set it off. So this heifer got home and Dre at the house. And so she basically told her, well, I need to go take a shower. And so she's trying to talk to her. And then she was like, I saw you with Jada. I saw you. And so she was like, what are you talking about? She was like, I saw you with Jada. And she was like, no. She was like, well, what's going on? You didn't tell me what's going on. So she had no choice. She broke down. And she said that Jada has cancer. Y'all, the way that Dre broke down, oh my gosh, they almost got me. I was like, no. So now this heifer, shoot, she just about broke up out of her alcoholic state. Was like, oh no, wait a minute. And she went over to console her wife because that's her friend. That's her best friend. And you was over here thinking they was busting it wide open. That's what you thought was going on. And you over here that cheated on your wife for no reason. So anyway, Jada is having a moment with her man. Octavia is with the baby. And Keisha, she actually breastfeeds. Well, not breastfeeds. She actually provides the milk. So she pumps and then she brings it over to her and all of this. And I just keep looking. I'm like, don't do this, ma'am. This is too much. So they're having a moment, and then she actually asked her if she want to hold a baby. And she held a baby, and then she turned to the side and she had the tear. I was like, it's finna go bad. This is finna, oh Lord, how's this gonna go, Lord? How? Child, Papa and Maisha are gonna have to go on a break because Maisha tied in her spirit because he over here trying to hijack her moment. She trying to have a moment and she can't have a moment. Even though he tried to, try to be like, well, we need to separate the business and the personal because we got too much going on. She was like, yeah, I agree. So he was actually expecting pushback. But when she didn't give it, he was like, oh, okay, that's it. Okay. So then she was like, you know what? I actually want us to take some space. And so he was like, oh, no, baby, I don't want to take no space. So she was just like, yeah, but I do. Papa looking kind of toe down and taken aback. And it is what it is. Well, Kevin had bought something for the baby. And, he was like, well, I never wrapped it up, but, it was for the baby. Child, they Keisha and old boy, they having a moment, enjoying one another. And it is what it is. Like, they on the phone talking, and she's talking about the baby. She was like, I got to hold my baby today. I mean, she all happy. I'm like, Lord, how's this going to end? This is too much. Now, Emmett and Tiffany have an understanding. And I'm like, okay, we'll see if that's really the case. But whatever. And now they trying to act like they this happy couple. And I'm like, I don't believe it. I don't trust it. Whatever. Kevin is trying to, you know, not be in the space that he was in, but I don't know how that's gonna go. But it is what it is, y'all. He has to go and talk to the people at the school. He went up there, he was like, before you speak, I want to say something. And so he was basically saying that, you know, there was no excuse for his behavior and all this other stuff, and that academy, that place, that school actually brought the best out of him, and he wants to be able to represent them and all this other stuff. Like, he was saying all this nice stuff about how it took him from where he needed to be, from where he was to where he needs to be, and all this other stuff. That man was like, that was a nice speech and all, but we have a zero policy. We have a zero policy on all of that. You have to be a representation of us, and that is not a representation of us. So it is what it is. And so he actually tried to go in and was like, well, if a white student did that, would you do this? You wouldn't be doing this, would you? And Dre had to be like, look, Kevin, let's go. Kev, let's just go. And he just looked like, dang, my future just went down the drain. And I'm like, okay, like, is there a choke type situation that you could try to, you know, deal with and go somewhere and find somewhere else to get busted to, or not? If not, it might be over with for you. Child, the end of the episode is here. And Keisha done rolled up on her mama while she in the house in her feelings, drinking in the middle of the day because she done cheated on Dre for no reason. I mean, cheating is not acceptable anyway, but I'm just saying she done cheated thinking that she knew what was going on, but she didn't. So she feeling guilty, and she in the living room drinking. And so she was like, Ma. And she was like, yes. So she was like, I think I want my baby back. I think she said, I want my baby back. I'm like, Lord, don't nobody have time. But anyway, hopefully y'all enjoyed the recap review of The Chi. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so, and thumbs up this video for me. I really appreciate it. All right, now y'all have a good weekend. Be safe out there and stay cool if you're living somewhere where it's hot. I'll see y'all later on. Bye.